When I was a kid, I read Jack London's To Build a Fire. I remember my heart sinking as the man slowly drifted into an icy tomb and froze to death. And despite London's great skill as a writer, I never understood what it would be like to die slowly in the wilderness from extreme cold. That is, until now. I am a little uneasy as I sit in my cabin, wood stove blazing, with a fist around a hot cup of coffee. I am separated from certain death by just a few inches of log. My mind is seized by all things cold as the thermometer reaches 50 below. The word cold itself seems meaningless, meek, impotent, as irrelevant as using fluffy teddy to describe a charging grizzly. I search for that precise word to capture the all-encompassing, gum-numbing demon that envelops mind, body, and soul. The word cold seems tame when a spruce tree explodes like a rifle shot. The word cold seems inadequate when I experience the icy fist that stings and numbs every inch of exposed flesh on my body as soon as I step outside. First my nose, ears, and cheeks, then my toes and fingers. It slowly strangles me like an icy anaconda. The Russian word for cold, holodnaya, seems better suited for expressing 50 below, especially if you stress the first syllable and shiver when saying the rest. Holodnaya. How do I explain the frustration of trying to start my truck at 50 below, or the fear of breaking down along a lonely road with no help in sight? How do I explain how the raw metal on my shovel would burn my fingers if I were to grasp it? Or how I look at the milk jugs frozen solid on my front porch and imagine the same thing happening to me. The only possible way I can survive for more than 5 minutes outside is to double my girth by piling on long underwear, furs, bunny boots, all of which force me to waddle along like a drunken penguin. At 50 below, when I fling a pot of hot water into the air, it instantaneously evaporates. My axe splits firewood as if it were a potato chip. This icy sociopath conspires to strangle me from the outside in, toying with all my fears. Minute after minute, the cold slowly grinds away the edges of my mind, working its way to my core. It slithers through the cracks and gaps in my cabin like an apparition. It invades my dreams, where I waken in a cold sweat, imagining myself crossing a swift, icy river as the shore moves farther and farther away. The cold is heartless, brutal, immoral, and relentless. I see myself as nothing more than a walking petunia, living in a bubble that could burst at any time. A slip through the ice, a trail missed in the woods, and I could be the man in Jack London's story, or like the vole that freezes to death, attempting to scurry from one side of the trail to the other. "50 below transforms me into a Neanderthal who focuses on heat, water, and pipes. My wood stove and wood supply are my lifelines. I constantly check my water room temperature and the drain pipe outside to see if it's frozen. When I hear a loud bang in my cabin, I pray that it's the logs contracting and not a burst pipe. Yet, and it's a tentative yet, there is something almost mystical, strangely seductive about 50 below. The landscape is cold, bleak, sterile, humorless, but it's also pristine, pure, and magical. Beneath my steps sleep wood frogs with their hearts and brains shut down until some mysterious force jumpstarts them in the spring. The spruce trees manage to keep their limbs from snapping, and the ravens still squawk insolently as they fly by in the morning. We are all in this together, men, women, flora, and fauna. If an owl, moose, or some crossbill suddenly wound up on my porch, I would rush to the door, fling it wide open, and proclaim, "Come on in. It's crazy out there." During quieter moments, I feel connected with the Russians of all people. In War and Peace, Tolstoy recognized General Winter as the instrument that defeated Napoleon in the 19th century. But Russian winter has also turned back Charles XII of Sweden and later Hitler in the 20th century. Perhaps 50 below has helped fortify the Russian people to hardship, which in turn helps them endure their wretched government. And 50 below might be why the Copperbasin has not become a bloated metropolis, as it repulses the hordes, attracting only those, like myself, who are a few degrees off. I find solace knowing that the icy Goliath will fall. Nothing lasts forever. 50 below will yield ultimately to that eternal tug of war with spring, and the icy beast will beat its chest and slowly fade away. But for now, 50 below forces me to slow down, to contemplate each move I make. General Winter orders me to view life as precarious and precious, as a temporary gift that should not be taken for granted. I will obey that order.